Hello. Welcome to the Monday stream. Zoom in a bit. So, after the weekend, where I have a bit of time off, doing other things, I always start the week, get back into it just with some scribbles, some ideas, and it will be anything. I've got a couple of scrapbooks. This one mainly for hashing out. Ooh, don't knock the stand. This one is just hashing out lettering, graffiti stuff. I'll give a quick look in. And just trying to find my own thing. I think I've started to find my own style in it. It's just refining it a little bit. I've said in sort of previous videos that I wasn't massively happy with what I've been doing, so I've been trying to sort of come up with my own ideas, like pages of lettering. I need to fill that back out with the letter G. Letter B is not meant to be. Managed to do that one upside down. Yeah, I had a crack at my own alphabet. Start getting somewhere with this. But I might come back to this page actually to hash out some ideas. But yeah, just scribbling, jotting down some stuff because I want to do more graffiti time-lapse videos. This was my old book that I did. I didn't record that one, I think. I don't even think I recorded that one. I think I started there, I think. And I quite like some of the lettering, but I especially like that one, and that one's probably my favourite. But I wasn't really happy. I think I did one after that one that was awful, and I just ripped the page out in frustration. I was like, nah, I'm not having that. And I said before that I'd kind of neglected it a little bit, so just gonna get on stream and hash out some ideas for a couple of hours on a Monday afternoon, since Monday morning I'm usually doing some sort of chores or housework. And the point of this was to sort of marry lettering with my style of sketching and sketchbooks, because graffiti is possibly my favourite type of art. And what I was looking back at, I really like this drawing, and I think there's something here that I could turn into graffiti. So like you can kind of see the J, the A, the M's a bit the B's a no, the B is just literally a lump. Oh no, sorry, that's the M, isn't it? And then there's meant to be the B, A, and then the R. So there's something there, and I've tried to refine it a bit with this to make it a little bit more readable, because you're still meant to be able to sort of read what the letters are, which you can't really do in some of mine. I've seen graffiti before where it has been a bit more abstract. But I think for mine, I prefer it to just be a bit just a little bit more readable. hope anyone who ends up watching this is alright. Feels good to be a bit more consistent with when I put work out or when I do work. It's just now I've got a schedule for myself to be a bit more organised. The trick now, or the next step, is I think putting it out there, because I'm at the minute not very many people know that I'll be streaming every Monday, so it's just to get it out there. And I reached 180 subscribers today, so thank you for that. It's slowly going up again. It stopped in the 160s for a little bit, but it's ticking over, starting to get a bit more traction every now and again, which is good. I meant to do a gaming video yesterday, but it didn't end up happening, so I think what I'm going to start to do, because what I tend to do is I finish around about 8 or 9, depending, what I get done. And I think, right, 8, 9 o'clock, that's when I sign out. I'll go and chill out, watch a bit of telly, maybe put a film on. I'll play games a lot of the time. I think I should use that time to just record more, like a bit like with this, like normal. I'd be doing this anyway on a Monday, and it's like, well, why not just record it? Every Monday I was doing this every Monday morning, because I'd be a bit lethargic and a bit barren of ideas, so I just have a couple of hours in the sketchbook just to figure some things out. And it's like, well, why not record it? As it turns out, there's quite a lot of people who just enjoy watching people work. And if you don't want to hear me chat shit, you can mute it. Everyone's happy. I always think one day there'd be enough people watching this where I could get super chats going and all that kind of stuff. But obviously I don't have enough viewers yet. I do intend on getting a Patreon going, but there's no point at the minute. Because what I was going to do as well, there's a couple of people whose work I've sort of commented on Instagram in the sort of graffiti space, and there's a couple of Facebook pages I'm part of, and I was going to ask them, or I was going to just sort of ask for advice and say, look, could this be considered, graffiti work? Are there any changes that you'd make, or suggestions, or anything like that? Or just any little tips and tricks. Because I really do like the traditional graffiti style, but it's not what I'm best at drawing, and I enjoy drawing stuff like this more. There's something a little bit different. See, the thing is, when I end up drawing stuff like this, I think, is it a bit too basic? I need to get my Pure F up. yeah, I've got a select sort of group of artists who are sort of my favourite that I like to sort of draw inspiration on. And what I've noticed with them is all their pieces are different, obviously, you can tell they're different, but it's very much a style where you can tell it's them. One of my heaviest influences at the minute is DRMLZ. I just love how they are able to keep it simple. And theirs is probably one of the sort of more abstract sort of types. There's a artist called Dupe77. Is it Dupe77? Yeah. Where some of it is quite similar to this, to sort of some of the drawings I've done, where it's blocks of shapes, and they've made it look fantastic. And that's under the banner of graffiti. And you think, oh, it just looks like blocks of shape. I'm just looking at one now. I've literally just said that it's blocks of shape, but I'm looking at one of his pictures now and I can see the letters in it. And I'm like, oh, I've just noticed. And he's a really good point of reference because he's the only graffiti artist I follow to this point that has a J in it, like my work. And what I try and do with my J's is they're almost a bit like a reverse C. Sometimes they'll even look like a 3, like I'll go like that. And I'll make the bottom part like a bit heavier. I've gone away from that on these two drawings, but he's gone a lot heavier on the top. But I'm just opening up some references. I need to do a mixed reference page as well. Yeah, I always start in the middle bit as well. I think what I need to do is distinguish the sort of main part of the piece from the background. Like I don't want to mix it up too much. It's like that's the M. And what I was going to maybe do. So I don't necessarily want to overlap because that's not my style where you do that. Like I mean, maybe I could play about with that later, but I think my style is this, where I'll make a bigger outline. So I'll have a thicker outline. And then I'll panel. So I'll kind of make it into panels like that. So it's a bit thinner within it, and then I'll maybe have some details like that. But I'm not 100% sold on that style. It's a little bit like Dupe as well. His their work is a bit sort of panelled out like this. Not exactly like this, but yeah, I do think I prefer this to this. Not the shape, but the detail. I'm not a fan of the panels. The way it's detailed, I think that looks better. Where's my eraser gone? Eraser. But yeah, this week, so many things I need to do. Like I'll do a thumbnail for this stream as well. But I like the fact that I've got at least a schedule. At least I know what I'm doing all the time. Yeah, I think what I wanted to do as well with this think that does actually work better when I thicken out the lines of the individual shapes. I think that does work better. I've just noticed seeing it because there's a bit of a delay on the camera. I've got a really dodgy way of holding the pencil. Each to their own now. I see there's someone in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you're all good. I always only seem to ever get one. Again, don't know if it's the same person who joins previously or if it's someone new. Either way, you're more than welcome. Thanks for joining. All that stuff. Just playing about with lettering, graffiti style, that kind of business. Bloody squeaky chair. I mean, I hope that reads as in an M and a B. I think the other two are clear enough. You know, the thing is as well, I think I've got it in my head that it has to be like perfectly readable, so I'm a little bit shy, shall we say, about really making it a bit more abstract. I think it was just that one comment that lived in my head rent free. It wasn't even a bad comment, it was just they're saying it wasn't strictly graffiti. But I don't think it's just the lettering, I think the working on the background as well. Like, I'll give you an example of this. Is it this one I'm looking at? So on this one, like I started doing more with the background. And then a lot of my pieces, like, I really like doing just sort of vertical and horizontal lines. Clouds is something I like doing as well. I half thought about doing that. But just adding stuff, like here, just extra little bits of detail in the background. The one that I like on the most was that one, and where are you? This one, where I kind of made it a bit more gradienty. But just incorporating that a little bit more, I think. Maybe having a bit more detail in the background. Get out of my way. Like, I always wonder, can I get away with lowering this a bit? The thing is with A's, it's trying not to make them look like R's as well. Like, could this look like an R? No, I think that does look more like an A. I've got a really good book. It's called Street Fonts, and I draw a lot of reference from that. The only problem with that book is that it's massive, so it's really hard to kind of prop up somewhere. Like, I've got a book holder right next to me here, which is where I keep some reference, but even that can't hold it. And then I just sort of add the usual details I do with my other drawings. Bloody chair. If I want to do first. Thicken it out like I normally do. We'll start there. I'm not even moving that much either. And then, in fact, let's just open up my book so I can get a bit of a reference for my own drawings. Because on this one, so it's not here, on this one, which is what I drew reference from the previous picture, the pipes sort of behind it I think work quite well. Maybe something more like that. maybe, I don't know, maybe I'd want something a bit more complex than complicated than just lines. So it looks good, in my opinion anyway. Or maybe just something a little bit more like, I don't know, something like that. Not sure. I think that's one of the reasons why I like, is it Modia? Yeah, Modia. I don't know how you pronounce it. Looking at his work now, he's one of my favourites because I love that he nailed his lettering style. Like, and at first, it just looks like a collection of sort of random shapes that he's lumped together. But when you look into it, you can actually read the word, you can read the Modia in it. But what they do brilliantly are their backgrounds. Like, again, just really simple shapes, but they make it work so well, and it's like, oh, that's what I want. Like, there's like, look at one now, it's in a square, it's like a big box around it, like this. But they've just, and I think I've played with this idea before in other scrapbooks, but they've just kind of done like mixed vertical. Like, I think even Coop said that to me in one of my previous streams, where he said if he tried sort of mixing it up, and he did it in one of his, and I have played with it before, but I've never followed through on it. And well, in fact, no, what am I talking about? The first time I did it was, I've kind of done it there, but it's big shapes as opposed to anything. I did it there. That was the first time I did it, and it worked. I think that works really well. Like, I've actually picked the colours well there, which is another problem I've got. I don't tend to pick colours. It's why I like this one as well. Like, the background works. I could maybe have expanded those shapes of the black and white out a bit more and then put the blue behind that, but. And again, on that one, the colours are correct. I'm just rubbing that out just to make space. But I think what I'll do, because normally I'll just do 4 on a page, but it's just mainly for the letters and some very basic stuff. I might do 2, so I might split the page in half, do 2, and play about with sort of the background more. I think for me though, it's nailing the colours more than anything. Like, there's been a couple of duds that I've had where I've thought it'll work well, but then I kind of fluff it. Even on these ones, the one that I always do, it's this one. Like, I don't hate it, but this is an example of something I had. Like, I had an idea in my head of thought, oh yeah, that would look really good, but the red just takes over. You know, I may as well have had the main bulk of the picture in red or something like that. And I think with these two that I did in here, the reason why I'm not happy is, I think with this one, I don't really quite know what I want to do with the letters. I think I'm trying to mix my style with traditional style. I don't think it quite works. I think the colours, I thought, oh, red, orange and yellow are winner. I think it's too randomised, and the black line doesn't work as well. And with this one, it's just a little bit plain Jane. I don't mind this one, like, as I look at it, but it's a little plain Jane. And that's an example of where I've got the lettering exactly how I like it, but I don't quite know what to do with the rest of it. And it was those two drawings, when I look back at them, I think, Maybe need to work on it. But I think I'm starting to kind of nail this down a bit. I'm starting to get that. I want to do it more kind of like this. I think that the problem I had with this is I like the shapes initially and like it's readable as Jambar, but it's maybe a bit plain in it. I think that was influenced by this, but what I did well here, I think, is I incorporated the lines in with the blocks, so it's all part of the same thing. So there's a sort of nice bit of detailing, and I've not put a black line between the colours, and the colours sort of fall well against the shapes. And I've tried to do something similar like that here, but I've just missed the mark a little bit. Like there's not enough to it. I think I concentrated too much on the 3D and blah 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 blah. But then, so that kind of made me go back. But what I remembered was, that's actually my most viewed one on TikTok now, was I remembered these two, which I didn't record. Like that one and, yeah, that one and that one. And I think these two fall closer to my kind of drawings. And like this one, I think this one reads quite well, like the J, the A, the M, the B definitely, the A, like that's really readable. I'm just gutted I didn't record that one. The background could improve, but that, I think I want to go more after that, but like the grills especially. So kind of mixing that with the sort of neon one that I really liked. I think that's kind of what I'm trying to go for. So what I'll do with this one is I'll have another crack, because that one's fine. Again, it's a little bit plain Jane and the grill parts of it take over a little bit, but that's the whole point of this stream, and I don't like that. I just noticed that bugging me. Don't like that. But yeah, the M and the B I seem to struggle with quite a lot, because it's, I think what I'll do, I think I'll try and, I'm going to try and mix that with that. I'm not going to draw that exactly, the neon one, but I think you'll catch my drift. No, I'll leave that thin. Yeah, Monday, the Monday stream, that'll be every Monday. I'll put I'll put a schedule out, because the only person that knows at the minute is me. I think that just about works as an M. Maybe if I do an extra little doohickey here. I always wonder as well, as a side, like all of these shapes that I normally do, they're kind of closed. Not closed, but they've got no like appendages, so they're kind of like a closed shape like that. It's very much blocks of shape like that put next to each other. And I think I can never make it work if I try and say have those three shapes, they're clear individual shapes. If I try and make that as one shape, so like for example, what I mean by that is this, where there's no closed lines. Like that doesn't look too bad, but I don't know, I think for my style and the way that I do my sketchbook drawings, I think I just prefer it when I split them into shapes like that. I don't know why, but then I'm always thinking, oh, is it going to be, when it's all put together, is it going to be unreadable as a word? But I think when I manage to get it like that, like that's a clear word, I think, then I can be onto a winner. I think I struggle with the B's as well, particularly with when I'm doing more angled letters, because I always seem to think that a B is going to have like loops, like noticeable holes in the word, or in the letter, sorry, where I think if you do it right, you can get away with, like in this one, like the A there and the R, you've got the hole in it, so it's more distinguishable as an A and an R. But I think, I don't know, it just seems to work better as a block, because I split it into individual shapes, it's a lot harder to do that, because there's just too many parts of a B, I think, to make it work. And the problem is, like, if I do, I mean, like if I put that there, But then the problem is I'd have to split these two, and I wouldn't know. Could I make this work? No. No, I think it's too difficult. No, it's too, no. No, that's not going to work, is it? I've done that the wrong way. Done that the wrong way. Because I want it to be more vertical. Got someone else in. Could be the same person from before, no idea. More than welcome though, you're more than welcome. I'm happy you're here. Right, that for the purposes of this, that'll be fine. So I quite like this, and I get this far normally. If I were to draw that as a big piece, then I'd lower the R actually on that one. In fact, I'll do that now. Yeah, the R's too high. Because I actually quite like this. I might use this. But the problem I've got, which is maybe why I need to spend more time in the scrapbook, is I get this far, I think, yeah, I get really excited about it. I'll put it down in the sketchbook for a time lapse, but then I don't know where to go after I've put the letters down. I'm like, oh, where do I go from here? So it ends up looking a bit mid, shall we say, a bit meh. Yeah, that's a bit better, because I like the fact that that lines up with that. And I've tried, is that the same size? 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. 1, 2, yeah, it is. Could I maybe raise that R to fill out a bit of space here? Could that work? Yeah, that looks a bit better. Because I don't mind that A going up a bit as well. I mean, the only other, I suppose the only other thing I could do to keep it a bit more even is maybe shorten that. Could I do that? No, that doesn't work. In my opinion. Unless I blunt that. In fact, no, because that looks rubbish. What about if I do this? What about if I do this? I weirdly think that looks a bit better. The problem is because I don't want to leave loads of space there, so I've overlapped the A with the B. Yes, fine. Don't worry about it. So now, what I wanted to do, now I've got the shape of the word, because what I wanted to do, I just remembered what I was doing there. So as to cross this, something like this, which that's similar, with this. That's probably, that suits it. Well, no, because I've already kind of done that there. So with this one, the sort of grills, the details aren't as big. I've split them up a little bit more. If I want to do is I'll darken it first. Where's my... Let's give this a quick outline. Still need to find out if I can play music in the background on YouTube live. Because I know on TikTok you can. There's loads of artists who I follow and who I dip in and out of on their live streams, and they've all got music on in the background. That seems to be fine. But YouTube, I don't know exactly. I know they've got fair use and all that stuff. But YouTube's not got the best record of being consistent with it. I've even seen people get copyright claimed from their own work, because there are copyright trolls out there. They seem to be really prevalent on YouTube. Because I'm assuming the hope is they just think, oh well, they won't be able to, it's too much of a ball ache to do anything about it, so they'll just give up and surrender the rights to us or whatever it is. But yeah, I saw somebody who got copyright claimed for their own work. You think, yeah, you might want to have a look at that, YouTube. Okay, so we've outlined that. Right, now can I apply the sort of grates, details and panels to it? Like, I could go in this kind of direction, but I think it suits this direction more. Like I said, that's a very simplified version of what I've done. But here, can I develop it a bit more? So if I were to say do this, And then if it were to be panelled in some way, what could I? Because that's still readable as the J. I think why I like the sort of grid or the grills, whatever, however you want to call it, the vents, however you want to call it. I think why it could work, because I kind of already did it here in the one that I kind of took it from originally. I think the reason why this one works so well, I know I'm kind of blowing smoke up my own work's arse here, but there's work I like and work I don't like. It's because of the blocks read quite well on their own, and because I've combined it well with these lines, like the grills, the vents, whatever, and the way that I've done the colour blocks, they kind of follow the letter. So like here the A kind of comes up this way, the B, the M, it kind of goes in. So it makes it more readable. It's like everything just seems to fit with this one. I think the reason as well I like this and this is the way that I've positioned the vents. I'll call them vents, it's just line detail. Again, I've positioned them in such a way, and it was deliberate because I've tried to do it. I've got other scrapbooks where I have tried to do it. I've tried to follow, in fact I did it here. Just, well, not really. But basically the vents, I've tried to follow the sort of shape of the letter, and it is an intentional choice. But I don't know why I abandoned it. Like, I just stopped doing stuff like this. I don't know why. Because it fits. Like with the A. I think because, like I said, I think I just let that one comment live in my head rent-free. So I really tried a bit too hard to make it look too much like traditional graffiti, but that's not my style. As much as I love it, and I do love it, that's not me, that's not my work. So then when I've tried a bit too hard to mix the two up, I kind of arrive, shall we say, at, I don't know, something that's a bit too in between. Like it just looks, I don't want to say a mess, that's maybe a little bit too harsh on my own work, but it just doesn't look, there's a word I'm looking for. It just doesn't look right. I'll say that. I'll be a simpleton and just say it doesn't look right. But yeah, just, it doesn't work, shall we say. Too messy. Whereas if I'm kind of doing this, then it can be a little bit more, like I wonder here, if I want to, I'll do, could I have gotten away with not having this because of the way I'm going to position the grills, I don't know is the answer to that. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this page on, there's a couple of graffiti pages I follow on Facebook, like Graffiti Sketches, Graffiti World, I think one of them's called, and you tend to get feedback. So I'm just going to see if anyone will actually give me any. Don't like that. Yeah, I don't like this. Don't like it. Don't like the shape of it. So how would I do this B? Still don't like that M. That M's doing my head in. I don't like it. I tend to use pencil for the graffiti sketches as well because I'm always changing stuff. Like with the sort of sketchbook. The sketchbook's drawings, they're all, there's no right or wrong to it. It's, I'll just scribble a load of stuff down and pull ideas from it, whereas this has got to be a little bit more readable. So, but I prefer to be able to just sort of make some adjustments on the fly. No. I think I might. I mean, the obvious path for this is this. But I just didn't want it to be too basic biatch, if you know what I mean. But sometimes, yeah, I mean, look, I mean, that just looks better, doesn't it? Yeah, it just looks better, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, I quite like the ideas that I've jotted down here, and I'm really starting to get into these. Like, I'm starting to find it. Excuse me, a little bit more. Now, the thing with this, what I'm thinking for the B is because it's a big open space, I don't want to drown it in the grill, in the vent, whatever you want to call it. So how can I find a happy middle ground? Does that work? Because as well, I like the sort of change in direction of the lines as well. I mean, they're not the best lines, but yeah, the B, yeah, I'm all right with that. I'm happy with that. The A doesn't need to be as precise because it already reads as an A. So I can be a bit more. Have a bit more flair to this. Flair. Pablo Picasso over here. I was watching Men in Black 3 yesterday. Was it yesterday? Day before yesterday, Saturday, with my youngest. And there was the scene with Andy Warhol, Bill Hader, who's great. And I thought he might not get that reference because he might not know who he is. So I showed him who Andy Warhol was and what he's famous for. And I said, "Have you seen this picture? It was the Madonna one." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that." And I said, "Yeah, that kind of whole style of the same picture but in different colours." He was like, I want to say, was it him originally who did it? There might have been someone before, but anyway, when I showed him that, I thought, oh, there's a couple of good ideas in there. I thought, can I ever play about with something like that? I don't know. Again, it reads quite well as an R, so mess about with it a bit more. Okay, so that's not bad. There's a few more panels on the blue and yellow one here, but I think I've maybe slightly overdone. Well, no, it's all right actually. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know. I was going to say maybe the blue and yellow could change, but I think that is ultimately what I'm after. So this, I'm happy with this. So that I'm going to be doing more of these in the future. But this, I wanted more. Like you can kind of tell through. Like I started doing an alphabet like that. Like the thing is, when I make the letters a bit bigger, like with the B especially, there's a little bit more freedom. But as you can tell, sort of here, like here, like that looks really nice. That's the sketchbook drawing I did. That's where I got the lettering from. Here is where I'm trying to combine my style with traditional, with the overlapping lines, but it's just not my style. That actually kind of works, weirdly, I think. But you can kind of see all through this book, or all through the scraps, like these ones, I can get the shape of the letters down and it looks quite nice, but I can never go anywhere from there. You can see it here as well, these ones. There's another page like here. Like I quite like these as well. But with these letters here, like these I think look quite nice, but I can never go any further from there. And I think even that, the way I've lined that out, if I just put colour on it and then mess about with the background, that could work as solid colour. But I think the problem I had, oh, that's the page I was looking for there. That's when I started to try and really combine it. And it does kind of work. But I think what I need to do better is sometimes if I just want to do that as a block of letters, just have that, you little details around the edges, and just block it. Don't faff about with it. Because I think one of the reasons why this doesn't work, I think I did say before, like that was that's the one I drew from earlier. It's a bit too plain Jane. It's not bad, it's just a bit meh. And I think I focused too much on the 3D, and it takes, anyway. But this is the one that made me kind of straight away rethink a few things, because I've tried to combine this with traditional style graffiti, specifically with overlaps. It's a bit too all over the shop, and it just, And then I've tried to obviously apply that kind of same style of line. But I think here I've tried to apply it as like a sort of half 3D thing, but that wasn't the intention on the good one that I liked. And then obviously with the colours, it just doesn't work. I think it's a bit too, like I say, messy. But I think if I stick to just doing like this, just keep the colours really simple. Like all the neon colours here fit. And the lines on the bottom, they're not supposed to be an exact 3D. It's meant to be almost like an extension. I know that's what 3D implies, a more accurate 3D representation of a shape, whereas this is more like an extension of the shape. Does that make sense? So in the colour, you can still clearly see what the shapes are, but the lines just kind of fills it out a little bit. Like you can clearly see, it's not an accurate 3D representation of those shapes. It's just more of an extension, like I say. And I've kept the colours really clean and close to each other, so it works. Like this, I think I've got, like I had the beginning of a really good idea here. I think the M just looks like a bunch of nonsense, but the rest of it works, and it's, like I said, and I really like that, but I didn't expand on it. So the whole point of this was to refine it. That's where I've arrived at. If I want a more detailed version of those really nice shapes, it's got to be a combination of that and that. And if I'm going to plain Jane it, which can still work, don't have the panel lines in black between them. Actually just use it as straight colours, because these still could work. In fact, whilst we're here, because that's what this whole session's about, let's colour this. I've already used the pinks. What was it? Orange and, what did I use? Orange and like coral colour. I'll not use red. Red's a bit too... What colour can I use? Let's say if I were to use, I don't know, would this work? In fact, I tried this before on one of my old drawings. Let's try it on it. Just, if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. But so these two, I used these two colours on a drawing in my sketchbook not so long ago. All right, I think it was my, there. Now for that, the sort of black line in betweens work because of the nature of that drawing. But if I were to say, separate this in the same way I separated the other drawing. So if I were to do it like, I don't know, it'd be there. Where is it? It's there, isn't it? Around here. So if I were to do that, how to fill this. So where's the, need to find the lines, but there, is it? But what I have to do is maybe pick, because it's a bit more distinguishable, the like dark and light. If I put the dark, I'm going to put it on the top or the bottom, because the bottom's the bigger shape. I'm going to put it on the top, I think, because I want the lighter colour to be the bigger shape. The M would be this way. Can I do it? No, it would. Yeah, keep the M like that. Doesn't have to be exact. I'm only messing about. The B, how did I do the B on this one? Okay, I'm with you. Right, B. Yeah, I kind of did it. It's a little bit different, but I kind of did it here, didn't I? So if I were to do that. Could I get, no, it's a bit too much. If I do that, maybe. Can I get away with it being straight? Don't know. No, do it this way. And then this one would be... What would be the best for that? It would kind of be like that. Straight down. And then same again, like this. So let's try that out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but we'll give it a shot. Yeah, I really need more Stabilos, more of these. If you are watching Stabilo, feel free to chuck us a sponsorship deal. Yeah, and 180 degree subbed, 180 subbed nobody on YouTube. Yeah, we'll give you. We'll give you free stuff. See, it's nice because I've detailed the outlines, like from a previous. So on like a previous scrapbook session I did in my other sketchbook, I was sort of struggling with how I draw the lines. Oh, you bellend. I can fix that. That's fine. Yeah, my line work was, I was trying too hard to be too accurate and too neat. So what I did was that lucky. I can't believe I messed that up with the wrong colour. Fine. What I did was I kind of did deliberate overlapping lines, so like it's easily, you can easily compensate for like a mistake, so it looks deliberate kind of thing, and I'm not stressing about making the lines 100% accurate. And it just kind of fits into the aesthetic of how I draw, like it just looks nicer. And an unexpected, well, I don't say unexpected, but a nice kind of addition to that is these little, and like it is kind of deliberate as well, these sort of like white areas now just gives it an extra level of detail, so it just looks a bit nicer. As well, just give this a little, make it pop. But that's why I would urge anybody to have like a scrapbook, or just a a book where you rough in ideas, play about, because there's no pressure on it. Because a lot of the times as well, in sort of my earlier sketchbook drawings, I don't feel some of them were as good as the sort of scribbles I did in the scrapbook. Like, I seemed to sort of really start to flesh out some really good ideas in the scrapbook, and I really liked them. And then because I was trying to make them as perfect as possible in my sketchbook when I came to recording it, so, I mean, they're still pretty decent, but I just didn't feel like they were quite as nice. And I think one of the reasons for that was, like I said, I was just trying too hard to be accurate with every single line and putting loads of pressure on myself. But I slightly changed the way that I draw, so it was a little bit more free, and that seems to have helped me. Got to say, I'm very much liking this colour combination, and I think I've made the right choice putting the lighter colour on bottom, because normally, like, if you want to be super finicky about how light works, then if light's coming from the top, then you have the lighter on the bottom, the darker, lighter on the top and darker on the bottom. But again, I'm not going for realistic lighting. I'm going for what looks nicer. It's purely aesthetic. And I think I've made the right choice. Because I didn't want because the way I'd split the letters up as well, I didn't want the darker colour to overrun it. Like, it wouldn't have mattered in this drawing. I mean, as it turns out, I think the coral colour slightly, I don't know, it's kind of hard. Value-wise, I don't know, they're similar. I'd probably say the coral's a bit darker. I don't know, I might be wrong. But I think because those two colours were so similar, it didn't matter. Like, even... And the splits of the letters are actually quite different. So some of them here, like the M, the orange, which is the one on top, is more dominant than the coral, but then on the B it's the flip. But because the colours are so similar, it works. So it didn't matter. Whereas this, because one colour is noticeably much darker than the other, and the way I'd split the letters up, worked out that the sort of block on the bottom was bigger for the most part. I thought it would have been, well, the dark colour is more, as a less dominant sort of chunk, worked better. I mean, I think that looks all right. And the thing is, because I've done this in the scrapbook, it's like, right, I can now jot that down. The colours work, and then you've got a graffiti piece. But now, what time are we on? 25 to 2. So I'm going to keep going for another hour, I think, maybe 45 minutes or so. That was the first sort of stages of playing about. There's a lot more detail in the panels here, but I think I want to avoid that, because I did these the other day, and this is kind of the beginnings of essentially, where are we? Yeah, I don't know why I've been so all over the place with my pages, but there as well, I don't know if you can see it on this, like there. Again, here you can see the sort of beginnings of fleshing out the ideas, like there. But here and here, for my other, so I'm kind of mumbling up my words here. So, for those interested, or who will ever be interested, that is a pure vanilla cookie. That is good. Thank you very much, pure vanilla cookie. I did not see you in the comments there. I don't get any notifications or pings when people comment. But thank you very much. Where are we? So, for those interested, if you're not interested, you can mute me or whatever. But it's kind of helping me. So for this, so I love this drawing. This is one of my favourites that I've done. But this works as a sketch, like a random sketch, because the influence here is more sort of 2D sort of ships from like R-Type and stuff like that. The reason it works here with the little detailing that I've done is because it's meant to be more like a ship. So the extra details and the dots and the lines work. But when applying it to here, the problem I've got is because I'm trying to make it look more distinctly like letters. I mean, it could work. I just need to work on it a bit more. But I want to keep really intricate details away from the main sort of blocks. Like I said, it could work. I'll probably just need to flesh it out a bit more. If I leave them blank and maybe do that, then I suppose it could. But the whole point was I wanted to find a way to make this work. So it does distinct, it does bring out the lettering a bit more. I mean, I suppose I could with this, for example, because I'm really happy with that. If I were to, where's my pencils gone? All over the shop. I mean, I could give it a little go. Like if I were to, I don't know. I mean, it could, yeah. If I leave it blank or a very light colour, like a light grey, then I think it could work. But if I'm going to apply colour to it like that, then I won't put it on because it would be too much. I think it'll take away from the colour. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know, I could be talking nonsense, but I'm just thinking about it from how I want to present it. Like, it's not, the detail in that is not the same as this, for example, because this is deliberate line work, because I'm trying to recreate, where am I? I'm basically trying to recreate that into graffiti, which I've kind of got there and there. So the line work and the sort of vents and stuff fit in, because the detail of that isn't too finicky. It's more bold, so to speak. But I'm happy with the way the colours worked out there. Yeah, this was sort of the first. I like the R on that. But anyway, enough waffling. Let's do some more drawing. Let's draw. Let's draw. So what did I say I was going to do? I was going to split the page in two, didn't I? So where's the middle? Where are we? 28 in. So I'll put a centre line in just so I can fit it in properly, right? And I'll go halfway down because I'll expand out the background now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 42, so 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 21, so 21 there. Okay, so I know, so there's your centre, that's where I want to be. So yeah, I'll do a graffiti piece in there, graffiti piece in there. Right, I'm just going to quickly nip to the loo. I mean, no one's here anyway, so it's fine. If I just do this lightly. Can you read that? Because I can always rub it out. Right, toilet back in 5. I will be as quick as I can. I mean, no one's here, so it's fine. the back. Oh wow, somebody stayed. Oof. Is that you, vanilla? Pure vanilla cookie? Okay. So, let's get rid of this gump. Where were we? So, I'd messed about actually getting some good lettering down I suppose you could count that. So I did that a few days before. What I've done today is, so that's what I've done today. These two, and finished that off. And then I coloured that to give me a better idea of how I want to overall put down a graffiti piece. I think I sort of waffled on about colour. Just getting the colouring a little bit better, a bit more in line with the actual shape of the lettering. How I wanted the detail to go forward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'll do 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right. So my M can start here. So now that I'm happy with the lettering, what I want to do is start adding backgrounds to get a better idea, more refined idea of how I want the backgrounds to go. So I've split the page into two to give me more space to work with backgrounds. I'm going to do one in... So I'm going to do one like this with backgrounds and one like this with backgrounds, because I'm very happy with how that's turned out. I think what I've decided to do with the colour is in my most recent sketchbook drawing, I was doing details like with the panels and the lines, but I'm only going to do that if the panel colour is very, very light or white, because then I can fill in the space with detail to make it look better. Or I'm going to leave them blank and fill them in and make the colour the kind of detail, and then I'll detail the background. This one will be as is. So I'll start off with the more blocky sort of square shapes. What I might do, because I'm going to focus on the background, I might just copy this one outright, just so I'm not wasting time redesigning stuff. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Because this is going to be all about the background. So I'll not waste too much time designing. Time 2 o'clock, yeah, so I might have to cut this short because I'm going to have to go and pick up my kids. But hopefully I will have done enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Where it will be a worthwhile stream. Like I say, apologies for the toilet break, but when nature calls and all that. Face that way, gotcha. Yeah, I'll be looking back and forth to that design just to do the same. Yeah. So that was the same there. I'll probably not fully detail it as well, just to. What I'll do, sort of, I'm not using that term because it's a core standard term, but what I'll do in the future, this is going to be more for the How I Draw series, which I'm still in the middle of doing. It's just taken a tiny bit of a backseat. I'm still very much committed to doing it, but because this week and last week was getting into the swing of things with a timetable, so you know, when I'm streaming, when I'm posting videos, it was more for me, just so I've got a more consistent time where I'm drawing, because one of my problems that I've had in the past is I've not been uploading as much because like I'll just not have motivation, and I don't want, because my channel's not very big at all, I'm just going to I think I'll just continuously be like not getting very many views or hits because I'm being inconsistent with when I upload. So I thought I need some sort of timetable where I can be consistent when I'm uploading. And more than that, it just makes me draw more. So, which is ultimately what I want. But sometimes if I'm not happy with some work, my confidence will get knocked. I'll think, I don't want to put that up, and then I'll find an excuse not to draw, and so I just said, we'll just document everything then. Every Monday is the same. Like, if I wasn't streaming this, I would still be doing this. Like, every Monday morning, I would grab my scrapbook, whether it be this one or my other one, and I just do pages and pages of stuff just to try and draw ideas out of. Because I'm always a little bit rusty after the weekend. So it's just like, well, why don't you document it? Make it part of your channel. That has been suggested to me before, and it's like, well, I did think about doing it, so why don't you flip and do it? But the point I'm making with that is, because of other projects that I'd started, one of them being the How I Draw, kind of like a semi-tutorial series, it was knowing exactly when to put time into that. So like Wednesdays, I only do one stream on a Wednesday for about an hour or two. So then the rest of it, and because Wednesday morning I've got to do sort of family commitments, things. So just use it, don't put loads of pressure on that day. It's like, you can't do anything on that day, so just have one stream so you're consistently putting something on YouTube. And then have the rest of the day to fill it with other projects. Friday's a similar day to that, because I do my Arteza series on Friday at 12 o'clock. That's only one stream, and then the rest of the day you can do what you want. So like you can either do another stream like a scrapbook stream, or work on other projects. But the original point I started with was the fact that because this piece is specifically designed to be working on backgrounds, one of the episodes of my How I Draw is dedicated to backgrounds and how I do them. And what I would normally do, I have drawn out a sketch of some kind where I wouldn't do like a full piece just to demonstrate a background. What I would do is I would replace the main bulk of the drawing. So like here, for example, this is the example I use because it's the first time I did it. I wouldn't do all of this. I would just literally do a square, and then I'd put in ideas around that square. I actually did that. In fact, I think there's an early... Is there an early drawing I did of that? I'm sure I've already... Yeah, there you go. So that was the first kind of draft of background. So what I would do is I would just do a rectangle to represent the main part of the drawing, and then I'd sort of fill out backgrounds. But because this is more on the side of the graffiti side, I wanted to see what the background would look like with the letters. I'll not do the sort of like these details that I do outside the lettering. I'm not going to do that. But this is where your reference comes in handy. So I mentioned earlier in the stream Modia, I don't know how to pronounce that. Aside from their lettering being on point, that's really good, like it's clearly theirs, which is what I love. Their backgrounds are superb because they have captured basically what I want to do, which is really clean, really nice backgrounds that pop using basic shapes, which is what I do. All I do is just use basic shapes. I don't do anything overly complicated. I think that's been my problem for so long, is that I wanted to do these super overly complicated drawings, and obviously I'd never get anywhere because I could never put on paper what my brain was thinking, because I didn't even think about some of the basics. But what I'll do is I'll just quickly darken this in. Get away, it's annoying. Because I think I've found the two types of graffiti lettering I would like to do. Obviously I'd detail them differently, but the basic shapes is the same. What I mean by that is, so it would be this style and this style. Occasionally I'd detail it with the sort of vents, or I'd leave it as a block like that and then put the vents under it as an extension. But they're the two that I want to do. I've kind of this is the good thing about scrapbooks, because I've put it down on paper and I'm walking through what I want to do and how I want it to look, and then there. I've got a clearer picture in my head of how I want to apply it to my time-lapse sketchbook, so it looks better. The next step is how I want to do the background, because I can be a bit more random and free with the background of my sketchbook, but I want it to be a little bit more refined with my graffiti, because one of the reasons I like the graffiti stuff is because it is more refined, it is more, you're working with constraints, which I quite like. I'll just put some basic detailing just so I get a rough idea of what I want to go for. As well, I don't want to do, well, I suppose I was going to say I don't want to do random backgrounds. Like, I was going to keep this style very much in the spirit of that, so I was just going to do that type of background, which you've seen in my sketchbooks before, and only apply that background to this bit. It's like, well, no, why not try a sort of diagonal lines? Why not apply that to that? Why not try it? But yeah, I'm going to put these out on the Facebook pages that I follow. Hopefully get some feedback, and you know, would you count this as graffiti, what could be done, if it's not quite, if it doesn't quite line up with what graffiti is, then what could I change to make it more definitionally closer to graffiti. Thing is, it all stemmed from just one comment, and I keep saying it absolutely wasn't mean-spirited. I don't think it was at all. It was just somebody saying that they didn't think it was what would be traditionally known as graffiti, and it kind of stuck with me, and that's why I've been a little bit insecure and a bit trying too hard to make it look more like traditional graffiti, and it just hasn't worked. Like I say, the very first drawing I did in my sketchbook is probably a perfect example of that. Like, it just doesn't work because I'm trying to make it more like traditional graffiti while still keeping it look like my style, but it just doesn't work. And it also made me think, somewhere down the line I would like to do like a video essay type thing on art and lots of different types of art. Like, you know, the first one would be how would you define art? What even is it? I remember a teacher in school saying that it's marks on paper, and it's like, well, it can be even more basic than that. Anything could technically be art. But I don't like that because it's too broad, it's too vague. I'm a massive video game fan. I'm a big video gamer, and they absolutely are art. I don't know why people are so snobbish towards them. So we've got the basic word down. So for the background for something like this would be, like, I could go with something just simple like this. I mean, I'll do a tutorial / how I draw vid on backgrounds specifically, but there's probably a better, where's the example? I'll just go back to the orange one. So, I mean, something like that. What I've done with this one, I've completely forgot about this picture. I've applied the main shapes into the background with the colour, but that was the first example of a background. But like I said, thank you for the like, whoever put that down. That's very kind of you. But the reason you can't see it on camera, obviously, but on I've got my PureRef pictures up of all the artists that have inspired me, and like I say, Monday is probably the best example of this, where I've seen that they just have sort of traditionally basic shapes that they've applied to the background, and they just look so flipping good. I mean, he's done some more complicated ones, like he's done one of Batman, which looks ridiculous. But he kind of gave me the inspiration. So what I'm going to try here is this. So I'll make it a bit more uniform. So if we go, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we go 6, 7, we'll go 7 out. And this is why I wanted to split it in half, to give myself this gap. The old chair, stop squeaking, shut up. Yeah, that needs to go down one more. I think that's 2. Because specifically what I wanted to try was, because you may even see this now, with a bit more colour and a bit more sheen. So could I have that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 8. So in fact, yeah, I'll do that. What I'll do is I'll make it square. So we'll have it 8. This is another reason I like working with dot grid paper. I like, I don't know if it's like an OCD thing, but there's something about the uniformity of shapes that I like. One of the things I wanted to do is I've got a light board. This thing here, you switch it on and you know what it is. A light box. Excuse me. And I want to do sort of like translate some of these, blah, 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 you know the deal, onto an actual piece that I could put in a frame to sell as art. But I don't think dot grid paper would be the most aesthetically pleasing for that. So when I'm doing my time-lapse sketches in there and in here and on my scrapbook, it's fine, you know, that's great. But for something for somebody to own, to have in their house, I think it would look better if it was completely clean on a blank sheet of paper. So my plan was to get a plain sheet of dot grid paper. I'll dot in the lines with a black pen, or dot in the dots, sorry. Put a blank sheet of paper over it, so then I'm using it as guidelines basically, and then just draw my picture on top of it. So it will still be perfectly uniform, with all the lines will still be really clean, but it'll be on a plain sheet of paper. Okay, so what the plan was here was I was going to do this. This is exactly why I wanted to do the background piece. This is what I wanted to try out. Just to see if it works. But there'd be different sort of variations of this. So on this one, what I'm doing is I'm blocking it. It's going to be a block, so basically these are blocks. Like I need to explain that to you. But because I like working with lines more so than blocks, but I wanted to see if a block would work. It'd obviously be a bit neater than this. Oh, what am I doing, you absolute dingleberry? Right, I need a thin rubber for this. Right. Gotcha. Why is it called a Zono or something? Mono, that's it. What am I doing now? Just put the line clean through the letter like a idiot. No, and I've just blocked in the wrong side. What a dunce, seriously. Absolute Dunstable. Am I going to get both of these in before I have to leave? That's the goal. I think I've got an alarm set up. I probably won't actually, which is annoying. I think it would have been alright if I didn't have to go with the loo halfway through, which is annoying. Oh no. Not the cleanest lines, but doesn't matter. It's not the point, is it? Okay, so it would go, as I've done that. So go like that. The lines probably wouldn't be as harsh as that because I've kind of done it all in pencil. It's taken over a little bit. Like it's partially inspired by the drawing I did before, and like I said, I've seen Modia's work, and like the lettering, which would be on the foreground, would be probably. I suppose you could do it either way, but it would be different, shall we say? I'll use this for. But yeah, it would be. But that's just like a main block in the middle. What I would also do, what I'll do is I'll finish this, and I'm going to leave this space. And the next time I might do a, like in the week, I might do like an extra stream. So the next time I could probably realistically do one is Friday. I mean, I suppose I could do one later today, but we'll see. But what I could do is, say if I were to do an extension like this, I'd want that to be a bit more flat. Where's the middle? There. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. And then I do the lines the other way, so. And I'd do it on the other side, but would I want to do it perfectly symmetrical? Yeah, I think so. I think so. Doesn't really matter where the blocks are, but what I could do to expand out from that I've got my lines like this, or my blocks. I think it works better being the opposite direction as well. I just think it looks nicer. So, if you've got that, so in fact, yeah, that probably would look better if I did it fully symmetrical. So, about there. There. How many was it? 7, was it? No, five on each side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So it's there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 9, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so yeah, we'll do it this way, innit? Or would it? No, yeah, we'll do it this way. Okay, I think the diagonal does work. It's a little bit. I mean, it's taking over a little bit in this drawing because I've had to do it all in pencil to see exactly what's what. It wouldn't look exactly like this. I'd do it as with my other drawings. I do it in a lighter colour, I think. But like I said, this was just so what I was thinking of doing. So the word would be, or the graffiti word there would have like a black. I do that in obviously black and then colour it how I'd want to colour it. So say if I was going to use blues, I'd probably use the main sort of blocks, darker blues and lighter blues, and then I'd use that light blue, or maybe even a lighter blue. So this is why the orange one's a good example of this. So like here, I use like a mid-orange to colour the bigger shapes, then a darker orange for the thinner ones. I use that same dark orange to do sort of outside details, and then I use the mid-orange for the background. In other drawings, I'd probably use 3 sort of oranges or blues. I think there is a blue one here. In fact, probably a better example of that would be, right. So like here, there's 3 blues in this. This is a good example. So say I were to use these 3 blues to colour, sure. So if I were to use these 3 blues to colour that word, I'd use obviously black to outline the word, and then I'd use the 3 blues to colour it. I'd use the light blue to block in those lines, or I would use a complementary colour like a yellow. I think a yellow would work. Probably not a neon yellow, because that's what I did in the other graffiti piece. Or an orange. I would say a light orange, something like maybe that. Maybe even a bit lighter than that. But you get the idea. So I'd block in, but I wouldn't use black to outline it. It would be very much like, this is basically what I'm going for. You see what I mean? I've used black to outline the word, coloured it, and then it all works on that one because it's lighter, but you get the idea. For some additional detail on this, what I'm thinking of maybe doing, this would be a pain in the arse, but I think could look decent, is say if I were to do this. I mean, this would be a pain in the arse to do, but I think it could look alright. Like if I were maybe to do something like this. I can see myself I'll get an headache doing it, but I mean, that's how difficult. I've already messed that up because I've put the dashes in the wrong place, but you get the idea. That's why I can see this being a monumental flipping headache, because look, I'll put them inside the block. I mean, it'd be easier to do because I'd colour it first, so it would be a lot easier to read, but something like that. And then if I do it here as well, no, I don't like that. I don't like it being exactly the same. Yeah, that's a bit better. You get the idea, something like that. Like that could work, I think. Like, it wouldn't have to be overly complicated. I think sometimes as well, I see other people's work and I think, God, it just looks so ultra detailed, but then when you sort of have a closer look at it, it's not. More often than not, it looks really good because they've just done the simple shapes really well, like the colour choice, the placement. And because that's how I do my other work, like it's not always that like one of my favourite pieces, one of my best ones, like that obviously looks ultra detailed, but one of my favourite pieces is that's one of my favourite pieces I've ever done. I did a smaller version of it and I've made it bigger. All that is just a bunch of bunch of shapes with some neon colour in it. And I think the reason why that works is because it's just, I've picked the shapes and the colours well. And I think if I apply the same logic to this, I think that's why this works well, because I've not overly complicated it. I mean, I maybe could have done a bit more with the background, but it's just finding that nice balance between, you know, where you put detail or not. And that's another good reason why putting stuff down on scrapbook, saying stuff out loud, that's why I like streaming it, because I'm saying stuff out loud, thinking in real time, what can I change, what can I do. Like, I wouldn't have, I may not have even gone back to doing graffiti pieces, which is a shame because it's my favourite work, but because my confidence would have been knocked, I would have just gone like, oh, I can't do it, it's better than me, where. And it's like, no, get your head down, get your head in the book, start scribbling stuff out, and you go again. And I've refined the way I want my words to look. I've started the beginning process of playing about with backgrounds. And I'm very sort of happy with the progress. Like, that's what it's all about. I don't know when I'm going to do a graffiti piece next, when I'm happy with what I've done. So the next, I don't think I'd need to really go heavily in on refining the colours. I think I've got a good enough idea. Well, I said that I thought I did last time, but of how the colours should be. But I don't know. I'll revisit that next time. But I'm going to shoot off, go and collect my children, all that jazz. But I drained 70% of my phone battery on this stream. Blimey heck. But thank you for everyone who joined. Thank you very much to Pure Vanilla Cookie for your comment. That was very kind of you. Thank you for the like, whoever did that. I may continue this because I'm really enjoying doing this. I may do a surprise stream in the week whenever I can fit one in. But in terms of everything else, I've got a stream later today. Tomorrow I should have another time lapse out. Wednesday, streaming my black book. Thursday time lapse. Friday Arteza Day. Friday's realistically the next time I can carry on with this, but I might try and fit one in before then. But thanks for everyone. Thanks to everyone who watched. Hope to see you again soon.